It is Top Secret Tuesday on the Florida Maquis. If you are here, you are at the $10 patron level and you are greatly appreciated. The training is continuing and it is working. I can see the effects of it now starting to bleed out into the real world, and we are going to continue. Now, just going to remind everybody of the new schedule. This first week, nothing has changed, of course, for Top Secret Tuesday or tomorrow for Need to Know Wednesday. Of course, Thursday and Friday, there will not be any videos because we have changed the order. Saturday will be Secret Squirrel Saturday for the $5 folks. We will continue to have Roundtable Sunday for $20. And Mondays will be the $50 M3 McKee Masters Monday. So, we are going to continue to talk about psychological operations, but in today's video, we're going to talk about the why. There's a lot of folks out there that think, well, why should I affect psychological operations in my group, in my life, people? It's not a nice thing to do. Well, okay, yeah, black hat, it's a terrible thing to do. Of course it is. Manipulating people is not a good idea. But if you do it in a white hat operation where you can make people believe that they came to a realization, a healthy, effective, important realization on their own, it will stick with them much more than if you just tell people how to do something or what they should think or what they should believe. Now, here on YouTube, I only have access to, or Patreon, either way, people for about 10 minutes of their life. So I have to do things differently than you would have to do them in your personal life when you're around them, you know, either 8 hours a day at your work or more at your home. So when you can use these techniques to make people believe they came to realizations on their own, they will use this thing called the endowment effect, and that's why the picture of the dog is up here. The endowment effect says that when somebody has something of their own, they assign more value to it, that specific thing, than if that exact same thing was in the possession of another. Sorry about that. And it goes to this Maslow's hierarchy of needs. See, everyone needs to feel like not only do they have these things down here, but they have control of these things down here. And when people have control of these things, they're much more likely to venture forth up the triangle. And the only way they can control them is if they believe that it was decisions they made themselves that created these bottom levels. Because they can't believe that anyone just at any time can pull the rug out from underneath this or this or this. This goes to a whole nother thing with the whole sugar daddy concept. Why women that, and I hate to sound sexist here, but it is what it is. I guess you could say the sugar mama concept as well if it was a guy, but when women believe that a guy in their life can pull out the rug of their physiological needs or their safety needs, they have absolutely no chance of reaching these levels up here. At some level, they become psychological operators without even knowing it, just to maintain these two bottom levels so that they can attempt to climb this, but it's counterproductive psychologically and always ends up failing. It's only when one can provide these things for themselves and has the self-confidence to know that they can provide these things for themselves can they really begin to ascend. But that's another issue for another day. Once people grab onto an idea, no matter what that idea is, and they think that they've come to it on their own, it will become part of them. It will change the calculus with which they go into any other situation. Sometimes folks like to hearken back to days of old, thinking that things were so much better way back when, because new things sometimes are uncomfortable. That's why it's important to assign That wasn't the picture I wanted to. An emotion to a decision. I know it sounds counterproductive, but the only decisions people ever hang on to that make fundamental changes in their life are assigned emotions. Whether we call them negative emotions or positive emotions, they have to have that assignment. Without an emotional attachment, decisions will come and go all the time, and you'll never be able to predict how people will behave in a shit hits the fan group or in a survival group, a military group. No matter what group you're operating in, whether it's your work or home, you have to have people doing things based on emotions. Now, ideally, everybody would do everything based on joy, or people would do things based on trust. But sometimes you've just got to bite the bullet and use fear. Sometimes you have to use the idea of there being sadness if things aren't done a certain way. Disgust is a real good motivator. Anger sometimes, it's not healthy, but if it's an important aspect to survival, you just sometimes have to make compromise and make sure that you can assign emotion to decision making. Not in the sense that we make all of our decisions emotionally, but that when someone comes to a realization that you have psychologically walked them to, that there is some kind of an emotional reward for it, or some kind of an emotional glue to that decision. And it's just kind of the way it is. It's an odd thing to watch, because there's this comment you always see on YouTube about people saying, well, I'm not a sheep, I'm not going to be part of the sheep because of blah, 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 blah. And then they'll go on to describe how they came to that realization by watching this other channel or this other authority or this other person, meaning that they've just changed herds. And that's all that happens. Some herds are smaller, some herds are larger. But the idea that if they find themselves ending up in a larger herd, that somehow they're being deceived, so they need to go find a smaller herd. The contrarian bandwagon effect type of thing all plays into this. Now, this list here is one they call survival issues. Organisms at all evolutionary levels face certain common functional survival problems. Single-celled organisms all the way up to us. Gain, acceptance, threat, the unexpected, loss. This is actually discussed right here. Obstacles and new territory. These are going to be things that affect every survival group, no matter what situation you're in. So when you're going through these cognitive appraisals, reactions, and then the ending functions, pushing things like the endowment effect, like cognitive dissonance, the availability heuristic, all these types of things are going to be very, very important for you to be able to understand and manipulate in your group. Because sometimes, I don't care how like-minded people think they're around people, when it comes to shit hits the fan, all of a sudden the people you thought you knew, you thought you trusted, are going to be completely different people. It just is. Because when it stops becoming a thought exercise or something you do as a hobby, and it starts becoming real, and the emotional attachments to other things become more apparent, you'll see how important this is. And that's why I'm hoping everybody is downloading or recording these videos to some type of a device or a drive, so that they can have these after there's no internet, so you can refer back to this to maybe do training, small group training on your own when and if shit does hit the fan. So anyway, we will leave it there and let you guys kind of chew on that. But just to understand that psychological operations are designed to emotionalize thought processes and ideas for people so that they believe they came to realizations or came to understandings on their own therefore gaining value in their mind for it. So we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Top Secret Tuesdays on the Patreon, $10 level. Like, share, subscribe.